Greetings folks, and I hope you're all full of beans wherever you are in collecting land, and welcome back to the channel for something a little bit different. So, a bit of a quick background and a massive shout out to subscriber Steve for coming up with this idea. Now, Steve and I have had conversations back and forth over a long period of time about letdowns in the 1/6 scale world, and by letdowns I don't mean the worst figures in the world. These aren't the ones that are falling to pieces and are just cheap and awful. These are the big names coming from the big companies, the ones that we've pre-ordered, the ones that have caused a buzz in the community and everybody's looking forward to getting their hands on them. When we finally open that box up, we get that sinking feeling, and collectors have all experienced this, I know, it just not living up to expectations. So after our many conversations, Steve came up with the idea of why doesn't Mr. Go Figure do a top 5 disappointment this 1/6 scale figures, those ones that have caused me that kind of angst. And I thought, what a brilliant idea. So here it is. But before we dive in, I'd like to send a massive shout out not only to Steve but to everyone else who's supported the channel, and please drop a like on this video as it helps other people find Go Figure. And if you haven't already, be sure to mash that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you're not missing any of the 1/6 scale news, previews, reviews, showcases, tours and general stuff that we've got coming up. So without further ado, this is going to come at you in a top 5 order. There is definitely a top 5 here for me, at least anyway. So we will dive in with number 5 of my personal favorite disappointments. Okay folks, so the number 5 slot in our disappointment straight out of the box goes to Present Toys' take on Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley from James Cameron's classic Aliens. So I had high hopes for this particular figure. We've never had, as far as I'm aware, an official Ellen Ripley from Aliens. So when I heard Present Toys were doing their third-party take on this particular character, I was super excited. Now, I've got a lot of time for Present Toys. I think they're a good company. They make some excellent figures at a decent price point. Yes, they can be very inconsistent. It can be a little bit hit and miss, but Present Toys at this point in time, when they produced this particular figure, had decided to try and up their game a little bit, and there is a lot of good stuff going on here. They've gone all in with slightly more diorama-esque bases, as you can see here, with a metal nameplate that says Flight Officer on it. The accessories, really well done. That alien egg with the facehugger coming out of it, the flamethrower, the pulse rifle, the bandoliers, the whole thing seemed to be on target for giving us a really good figure. But then we got the initial shots of the head sculpt that the Present Toys were planning on using, and I've got to say, it was pretty poor. It really was poor. But that head sculpt now, which I believe is based on the Hot Toys Ellen Ripley from Alien, I think they took it back to the drawing board, and I think this is probably the only good thing about this particular figure. Now, it's featured in a lot of my videos, this, and it was a huge disappointment to me straight out of the box. And it wasn't the appalling sculpting and paint applications on these boots, and it is pretty horrendous, as you can see. If you get up close, I'll just spin these around so you can just see the detailing on here. It's not very good. That's being polite. The paint applications are off. The feet actually look wrong for some strange reason, almost like she's wearing 2 right boots, but I know she isn't. The lettering on there that says Ripley on the side of the boot, so we all know it was Reebok, but they put Ripley on there, and it's backwards for some strange reason. The outfit itself, taking out of the equation the boots, is not too bad. Those cargo pants are not too badly done at all. There's some weathering on there. They're pretty good, and from a distance this figure is pretty good. The t-shirt is nicely weathered. As I said, those sort of canvas stroke nylon bandoliers with the removable cartridges and so on, really nice. The grenades on there. Spin this figure around, and yeah, you would be forgiven from a distance thinking, well, that's not a half-back figure, Mr. Go Figure, what's your problem? Well, the issues with this figure and the reason for the instant disappointment out of the very nice box that Present Toys gave us, let's start with the issues. The biggest one, the elephant in the room, the very small elephant in the room, was the scale. This simply isn't 1/6 scale. Don't know what scale it is, but it isn't 1/6 scale, and it's smaller than just about every other 1/6 scale figure in the collection, so it just looks goofy and wrong. And that was the major issue with this. The body itself as well is, and we know that Present Toys are working to a budget, so we don't expect Hot Toys and in-art levels of quality here, but the body, the proportions on the body are all wrong. That super skinny body. Now I know Sigourney Weaver wasn't a bodybuilder or anything like that, but you know, these arms are stick thin. The body itself, the top half is sort of a seamless body, the bottom half more of a solid plastic. The whole thing doesn't work very well together when it comes to articulation, so the legs tend to splay at the waist and the knees don't want to bend, so the body is off proportion and not very well done. But all that could be forgiven if they got the bloody scale right. How they got that wrong, I do not know. It's not like they haven't been making 1/6 scale figures for long enough. The saving grace, as I mentioned before, is this head sculpt, which I still believe to this day they lifted from the Hot Toys Ripley, just changed the hairstyle there. The initial head sculpt they gave us was very, very poor indeed. So I had really, really high hopes for this piece to finally get an Ellen Ripley in the collection. And as soon as I opened the box, my heart sank into my boots, and it didn't come out until I put the whole figure away. So there you have it, folks. That's number 5 in the disappointment straight out of the box. It's Present Toys' take on Ellen Ripley. So moving swiftly on to number 4. Okay, folks, so coming in at number 4 in our highly anticipated instant disappointment straight out of the box top 5, and that's a hell of a mouthful. It is Anne Hathaway, aka Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, from Christopher Nolan's third installment of his Dark Knight trilogy, Dark Knight Rises. So, where to begin with this figure? And I might cause a little bit of controversy here with this particular piece, but I never owned the 1.0 version of this figure. So when I heard they were releasing a 2.0 version, I had to go all in because my collection was missing a Catwoman from Dark Knight Rises. So where did it all go horribly wrong? I can't compare it to the version 1. As I say, don't own it. However, the improvements here, if there are any, are exceptionally superficial as far as I can tell. And yeah, the reasons for the disappointment, yeah, well, straight away, let's. It's the same situation here with this figure as it was with the previous one, with the Present Toys Ripley. From a distance, this looks phenomenal. It's not until you get close to it that you start to realise that things might be a little bit awry over a Hot Toys. Now, I have no issue with Hot Toys doing 2.0 versions of figures, none whatsoever. If they've improved their techniques, they've improved their paint applications, their sculpting, and all the rest of it, if that's seen a marked improvement, then yeah, go ahead. If you can give us a better figure, I'm more than happy for you to do that. However, there are certain times when these 2.0 releases come out, it feels like a cash grab, I've got to say. And I don't blame Hot Toys for doing that. You know, they're in the business to make money at the end of the day. However, when you get up close and personal with Selina, something is not quite right. We'll start with that base. Let's have a quick look at this base. Now, I do love this base. Obviously meant to replicate the Gotham City sewers and that particular scene down there with Bane, and I think it works beautifully from that sculpted plastic water there to the rusted sort of metalwork going on the grills and the gates, and you've got that sort of pressed cardboard and plastic backdrop with the plastic surround with all the rust on it. It just works very, very well. In fact, it works so well they reuse this this particular base for their Bane figure, and I don't have a problem with that either. I think, I mean, sometimes Hot Toys can flog a dead horse in reusing their diorama bases and their normal bases as well, and it can get a bit tedious seeing the same thing recycled. But yeah, this was good, so you know, fair dues. They reuse the base. The issues come when you get to this figure. Now, where to begin with this figure? There is an overall issue, and that is that doll, cheap doll-like quality. But the things that disappointed me instantaneously out of the box, number one, it's the materials used in this suit. The proportions are fine, but once again, we've gone down the pleather, that deteriorating sort of rubberesque type material that's been sewn together. We've got this sort of ugly creasing going on in the knees here. Now, I know you need to leave some space here for articulation, but no one's going to really articulate this figure for any length of time anyway, because that material will just crack and flake and chip and just fall apart. So you've got these ugly baggy bits at the knees going on. The proportions are okay, as I mentioned. They're not bad at all. The head sculpt from a distance is okay. It's a bit soft, let's put it that way. And there's no marked improvement here from the first version as far as I can tell. If anything, there's been some steps backwards in paint applications. And this is what caused the biggest disappointment for me, apart from a couple of other things as well, which we'll talk about. That hair just isn't that well done. The colour and the sheen are very, very nice. The style is pretty good, but it just comes off like a cheap doll. The hairline has got issues with coloration going on there. We've got some sort of like painted attempt at the side of the hair there, as you can see. The whole thing just feels cheap. It's light in the hand, and that's excusable, I suppose, because you know, it's a female figure, a slightly smaller build, but the whole thing, including that hair, just comes off as a cheap cash grab, I've got to say. Just a cheap cash grab. And probably my biggest bugbear with this whole figure, and what really caused the disappointment for me, and I'm going to have to get my hand in at this point and just take her off the stand so you can see this, is an issue I was having with Hot Toys a lot around the time of this release. Had it with the Deadpool figures and with a number of other figures as well, is this stitch work. If I can get this hair out of the way with one hand, it's this appalling stitch work. Now, I wouldn't expect to see stitch work like this on a third-party super cheap figure, let alone an expensive Hot Toys piece like this one. So yeah, that was the crowning turd in the water pipe for me, and just nailed on my disappointment permanently with this figure. So yeah, it's not one thing with this figure, it's a whole boatload of stuff coming together simultaneously to give Mr. Go figure an impending sense of disappointment as soon as he opened the box on this highly anticipated figure. And it was highly anticipated. People were really looking forward to it, and I think, like me, a lot of people were disappointed. So on to number 3. So, coming in at number 3 of our highly anticipated disappointments, well, let Mr. Go Figure tell you a story. Now, regulars to the channel will know I am a huge horror fan. Huge section of the collection is dedicated to horror, and I didn't have a Freddy Krueger. So when Sideshow announced their take on the bastard son of 1,000 maniacs, I was all in. I thought we were on to something very special indeed. Yes, how disappointed was I going to be? Yes, it's Sideshow's take on Freddy Krueger. Sideshow were always going to make an appearance in this top 5. And yeah, where to begin? Let's dive in with the disappointment. Let's start with that base. This is not the Sideshow base that this figure comes with. It comes with the usual sort of black hexagonal plastic thing with a barely readable logo stamped on the front. I'm using a completely different base here because regulars to the channel will know my feelings about Sideshow and their bases. They need to step up their game. They need to give us something a little bit more engaging, shall we say. But that's just my opinion. But the figure itself, oh, where to start with this one? Yeah, instant disappointment out of the box. Saving grace that head sculpt, but we'll get to it. Not the paint applications, but the head sculpt itself. It's easier with this particular figure to go through what's wrong with it rather than go through what's right with it. We'll start with that body. The proportions are pretty good. However, the body that Sideshow used here is just the jankiest thing in the world. And I'm going to pay Sideshow their dues here. They have upped their game recently. They've given us figures like the Tim Curry Pennywise. They've given us the Beetlejuice figures, which really are definitely head and shoulders above some of the stuff that they were giving us back in the day, because this is a slightly older figure. But yeah, faults on this figure. Super janky body. Literally, it is nothing short of a miracle. He is holding this pose. The arms are loose, the waist is loose, the legs are just turned to jelly. And this was straight out of the box. And this is what inspired my sense of immediate disappointment. We'll talk about the materials and the colours they use. It comes off as just super cheap. The colour of the pants themselves, it's the wrong colour. The material, it feels like it's something from a third-party figure. And yeah, just overall, although the stitch work is pretty good, there's no sort of loose threads hanging down or anything like that. Overall, yeah, it's just the wrong colour and just wrong. The boots are pretty well done, with some weathering on there, and the sculpting's okay. But moving up, that sweater, wrong colour again. The rather childlike attempt to do some fraying and weathering at the ends of the infamous sweater, which just look cheap as well. And the colours are wrong on the sweater itself, and that neckline is wrong, even though there's a little bit of attempt at weathering there as well. You get very little with this particular figure other than the base and a swap out hand. Props to Sideshow on the gloved hand. There are two gloved hands with this figure, and they went with metal blades, and that's one of the few saving graces on this particular piece. Is the blood spattered metal blades, and the sculpting on the glove is quite nice as well. Let's talk about sculpting on the other hand and that head sculpt. The sculpt itself is not too bad. I think the sculpt is okay. It's the paint applications here that really let it down. That face, that head sculpt is not half bad at all in my opinion. However, the paint applications are just completely off, and once again come off as having been done by a third party that will come in at a third of the price. It needs more reds in there, deeper reds, more skin texturing and tonal applications. The teeth they're nicely dirtied up, but the paint applications are very very basic indeed. We've got a non-removable plastic fedora. The fedora is the wrong colour. They should have gone material here. It should have been removable. And all these issues at the price point that the Sideshow figure comes in at, just instant disappointment from me. For me, just overall, yeah, it was a non-starter, and it was a real shame. I was expecting something so much better than this. Particularly, as I mentioned, at that price point. But no, what I got was instant disappointment. So there you have it, folks. That was the highly anticipated, huge disappointment that was Sideshow's take on Freddy Krueger. So, on to number 2. Okay, folks, so coming in at the coveted number 2 position of highly anticipated disappointments. Yes, folks, it's an in-art figure, and it's their take on Mr. Pattinson as Bruce Wayne from the Batman movie, the Matt Reeves directed The Batman. Now, let's get something out of the way before we start here, before those fanboys start clattering the keyboards. I am a big fan of in-art. I think in-art have broken onto the scene massively with some incredible pieces. I am a huge fan. Yeah, don't shoot the messenger. However, I think just because you are producing figures of such high quality and such high price point as well, doesn't mean you can't make a few mistakes. And I've got to say, this was one of my biggest disappointments. Now, InArt released this as part of a double pack, or you could buy it separately. Now, I am, as regulars of the channel will know, I'm not the world's biggest fan of Matt Reeves' The Batman movie. However, I am a Batman completionist. A huge chunk of my collection is taken up with Batman-related figures. so I just had to get involved with the figures. I wasn't going to pick this this iteration up of Bruce Wayne. I was just going to go with the Batman figure itself. Got the Batman, was suitably impressed. I think it is a phenomenal figure, absolutely incredible piece of work, and it justifies the praise that's been heaped on in-art. Maybe that cape could have been a little bit better, but overall it's a stunning figure. So I thought, well, why not go in and get involved with Bruce as well? Where would Batman be without a Bruce Wayne figure? And yeah, instant disappointment on this one. So what caused that disappointment? Well, let's start with this base. Now, the fact that he is standing up at the moment is nothing short of a miracle. Regular Search channel will know my feelings about in-art bases and their magnet system. It's just never been perfected and still hasn't, as far as I'm concerned. The access system is appalling, getting in and out of there. The magnets are too small, there isn't enough movement allowed on the inside, they're not strong enough. This guy just wants to fall backwards all the time. As you can probably see here, if I pull back, I have to have him constantly leaning forward to prevent him from toppling over, which is a real pain in the arse. I like the sculpting and the paint applications are really nice with that sort of Wayne symbol on the front there and that cracked stone effect. I think it looks great and it's very subtle and very classy. However, it just doesn't function the way it should. Proportions are okay with this figure. They're not bad at all. They've captured Mr. Pattinson's proportions perfectly. It's the inconsistencies in this figure that gave me the greatest feeling of disappointment. Firstly, the inconsistencies in the tailoring. The suit itself varies from being superbly tailored. That coat is beautiful. I'll just spin him around a little bit here and pray to God he doesn't fall over. The materials they've used in that overcoat are beautiful. The stitch work is phenomenal. The wiring in there, so you can go for those dynamic poses. The fit and finish and feel is great. Love the coat. But then underneath there, you get the suit pants, which are a very nice cotton, but are about 3 or 4 times oversized and are held together. And you can probably see this. I'm gonna have to be careful here because I don't want him to fall over. I hope the camera's picking this up, but there you go, he's just very nearly went there and just not stable on this base at all. But hopefully you can see that bunching goes all the way around the back and all the way around the other sides, and it's like these suit trousers come from a figure 5-6 times the size. And it's just completely off in that waist area. The jacket is okay, as are the shirt and tie. But yeah, it's I don't know what in-art we're thinking of here, but those pants are just off completely. So you've got a problem with the base there. And the shoes. These shoes, I have seen better sculpted shoes on third-party figures that come in at a quarter of the price. They are appalling. They really are appalling. A very basic sculpt of an Oxford there, and just very cheap. So this is what caused the dissonance for me, was the clash of quality against not quality, basically, from super cheap shoes to beautifully tailored overcoat to pants that are appalling. The whole thing just feels like it's been thrown together as a last-minute addition to the collection. And let's talk about this head sculpt now. I'm going to court controversy once again here. I don't think this is a particularly good Pattinson head sculpt. Now, I know it's personal taste, and art is subjective, and yeah, after all, these things are art, so it's all down to the eye of the beholder. But I think this head sculpt is not that good. Yes, it's good, and it's unmistakably Pattinson, but it's just not as good as it could be. The hair's nicely done. The paint applications are okay with that 5 o'clock shadow, nice glassy eyes. But I think it's the overall sculpt that just doesn't quite make it for me. Better in profile. I think in profile they've nailed Pattinson on, but straight on, and there's something not quite right there. So yeah, this is what caused my huge disappointment, and I was expecting massive things from in-art on this one. Love the Batman figure, but it feels like all the time, all the effort, all the love and the money went into the Batman figure, and then this was just made as an afterthought. So yeah, that's what gets it the number 2 slot in my most highly anticipated biggest disappointment. So there you have it, folks. That's InArt's take on Bruce Wayne. Let's find out what's at the number 1 slot. Okay, folks, cue the highly anticipated, highly disappointed drum roll for our number 1 slot, and this will come as no surprise to a lot of people. That top slot goes to none other than Hot Toys Feral Predator from Prey, the highly anticipated Feral Predator, and it was highly anticipated too. Hot Toys hadn't released a new Predator figure in quite some time. Prey had actually turned out to be a good film, unlike a lot of Predator sequels and stuff that came from the Pred universe. And overall, yeah, highly anticipated by a lot of people, and Mr. Go Figure included. I really thought we were going to see another classic along the lines of the classic Predator or the Jungle Hunter, but instead we got this. Now, Mr. Go Figure is going to have to eat his hat and his words straight away here. Regulars to the channel who've seen my review of this, I literally got it in hand, it went straight in front of the camera. I was so full of beans to have this in hand that maybe my judgment was a little bit clouded on this figure, shall we say. I perhaps paid it dues that it perhaps wasn't worthy of. But why has it made it to the number 1 spot? Well, like the other figures in this top 5, it's not down to one particular thing. It's a collection of things that make this such a huge disappointment, and that disappointment really dawned on me after I'd lived with it for a short period of time. The proportions, yes, not bad, not half bad. Let's start with that base. The base itself, this diorama base, yes, it's okay. The sculpt and the paint applications might be considered to be a little bit soft, but you've got all kinds of things going on here. You've got that log at the back where you can stick that hatchet if you want to. There's arrows in that sack around the back as well. Overall, it's okay. It's not a bad little diorama, but that's little is the operative word. This guy is huge. He's massive. Those proportions are right. So, as is Hot Toys want at the moment, they seem to have given us a diorama that he won't fit on. I've got him resting up against the dynamic flight pole here because the waist grabber just looks plain ugly on a figure like this, so I just have him resting back. So if he does topple over, bear with me. But yeah, so the base, nice try, but no, it's a miss for me. Let's talk about the sculpt and paint applications. It almost feels like Hot Toys took a step backwards here when you look at something like the classic Predator. Now, I've done a comparison video as well as a review video for this particular piece. Now, if you're wanting to see any of these figures in greater detail, please check out the homepage because there's full reviews for all of them. But yeah, I did a classic Predator versus the Feral Predator, and pretty much the Feral Predator lost in every single department. Sculpt and paint applications, step backwards in my opinion. Look at those bindings on the ankles, you look at those feet, they're not very good by today's standards. They are very, very basic. And herein lies another sort of, and it's the overriding sort of issue with this figure. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a huge fan of NECA and their figures. I've got a lot of them in the collection. I think they are an amazing company. However, this whole figure comes off as an oversized NECA figure when you've got it in hand, whether that's down to the paint applications, the sculpt, the joints, the materials that have been used. The whole thing just comes off as something that should have been a lot lower budget, let's put it that way. And let's remove that helmet while we're here, so you can see that head sculpt underneath. Now, so yeah, we are looking at very, very basic sculpting here and paint applications. One of my biggest bugbears is this loincloth area, and I will try and spin him round so you can see this, and hopefully he won't topple over. As I say, he's resting on that flight pole, but this goes all the way around. Now, owners of the classic Hot Toys Predator will know that this entire loincloth area was made out of corresponding materials. What Hot Toys have chosen to do in their wisdom is go with sculpted plastic. And that really detracts from the realism for me. It is quite obviously sculpted plastic and not that good at paint applications either. So what you get here is something that adds to that overall impression of an oversized NECA figure. Paint applications and sculpt on the abdomen section with that 24 bag, they're okay. They're not brilliant. It's very soft paint applications here. The articulation's pretty good on this figure. It's one of those hard plastic figures. There's no softness in the in this abdomen area here, so you're going to get you don't get a vast amount of movement in the waist there. But because our knees are jointed, the elbows are ball joints, and you've got ratchets on the on both elbows, articulation's pretty good. So you can get some decent poses out of them. You just won't be getting them on this particular base. The accessories, the accessories are not bad. You get the weapon, which magnetically attaches to his back, and I'll try and swing him around here, but the flight pole will get in the way. You get the pod on his back there. You get the shield, obviously, which is nicely done, and the harpoon weapon as well. The shield itself is nicely sculpted and painted, and is pretty good overall. But as I say, it's the overall impact of this figure. The blades in the gauntlet section should have been metal, in my opinion. They went with plastic, and I know a lot of collectors, they snapped instantly out the box because they're exceptionally fragile. Hot Toys went back to the drawing board with those dreads and thinned them out, which was great to see. But overall, that head is it's the same kind of paint applications we're looking on the rest of the body. It just doesn't quite come off as high-end as Hot Toys claim to be, and it doesn't match the price point, in my opinion. There are certain areas on there which just look goofy to me. Those tendrils around the neck are too short. There's not enough of them. It's these little things that all add up. It's the undersized base, the softness of the sculpt, and the overall feel of this being a much cheaper figure, which gave Mr. Go Figure his huge dollop of disappointment, which I think was shared by an awful lot of other collectors. You do get the light up feature, which is pretty much much of a muchness, shall we say, in this nicely sculpted helmet section, but the LED is faint at best and attaches to the back there with a wire which gets lost in the dreads, which is probably a saving grace. But overall, yeah, all these little things add up to something that just was a complete letdown overall for me, and as I say, as I think it was for many other collectors as well. I'm hoping and praying that they actually rectify their mistakes in the 2.0 Jungle Hunter Predator that they're planning on giving us in the not too distant future. But for the time being, unfortunately, Hot Toys Feral Predator makes it to the #1 slot of the most highly anticipated disappointments. So there you have it, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this bit of fun. Am I getting it completely wrong? Are these classics and I'm completely missing the point? Or have you got these figures and do you feel the same way? What are your top 5 biggest disappointments and from highly anticipated figures? I will be fascinated to hear your take on this. So please drop a comment in the comment section below. Nothing is off menu. What have we got coming up on the channel? Well, we've got plenty more new figure reviews coming in. We've got stuff from Hot Toys, from InArt, from Susu Toys, Present Toys, Caustic Plastic X06, Iconic Studios, the list goes on. We've got retro reviews, we have got more episodes of Grail or Fail, we've got more showcases, and we've got a new tour video coming up very soon as well, so stay tuned for that. And I suppose all it remains for me to say is a massive thank you for watching, and from myself and from the most highly anticipated but most deeply disappointing figures, take care of yourselves, and until next time on the channel, happy collecting!